Theurgy is a really interesting mod that lets you use lots of really cool machines with alchemy, etc. But how do we actually use these machines with heat, which some of them will need, and also transport items around? Well, the first thing we're going to look at here is going to be logistics and heat within the Theurgy mod. The first thing you are going to need is a pyromantic brazier. This is actually what you use to heat up some of your machines. The Mercury distiller here and the liquefaction cauldron, for example, both need heat in order to work. Now, it's very, very simple. You could just place your pyromantic brazier like this, get some coal, and then right-click it into the brazier, and this will automatically then be using up that coal as it needs it to burn and obviously make heat. You can't use things like campfires or furnaces. You do need to use ones from the Theurgy mod. What we're then going to do is make some mercury in this example. This is one of the first things that you will actually need in the mod, and we're going to be using a mercury distiller to showcase it. So what I'm going to do is on top of here, I'm going to place a mercury distiller. Now, this is a machine that does need heat. The purpose of it is to make mercury shards. Mercury shards can be used in quite a lot of things. Number one is actually your mercurial copper wire, and also mercurial item extractors and filters, etc. This is how you're going to be doing all of your logistics. So we do need mercury in the first place. What you could put in here is pretty much any item, and the distiller will turn it into mercury. Now, what's interesting here is that the rarity of the item matters. A diamond, I think, gets 10 mercury per 1 diamond or something like that, whereas stone takes 10 stone to get 1 mercury. So diamonds are about 10 times more powerful. So depends what materials you have available to you. I think nether stars are like 64 times. So you could just pump loads of stone in here, dirt, diamonds, whatever the hell you like, and it will automatically turn it into mercury. If I show it to you here, let's go with diamonds again, like I did before. I just right-click on the mercury distiller and put in my diamonds. And then we just wait a bit, and you can see now there's 10 mercury shards in there, and I can right-click to get those mercury shards back out. This is now going to allow you to make your mercurial copper wire and your mercurial item inserters and extractors. And this is actually how we use the logistics in this mod. As with all modding, I've put blue as import and orange as export here so that we can see where we're taking from the chests and putting into the chests. So I'm just going to start up this again to show you how we're going to work it. So let's automate our mercury distiller. One, our pyromantic blazer is going to need coal. So what I'm going to put on this chest here is I'm going to say an exporter, mercurial item extractor on the chest here, and then I'm going to say a mercurial item inserter on the pyromantic blazer, because I'm inserting into the brazier and I'm exporting from the chest. Now there's just some diamonds in the chest, so I'm going to get my mercurial copper wire, right click that cable and right click that cable, and now it's linked up, and this wire is what will actually transport your items. However, we don't obviously want to be transporting everything. We could use a mercurial attribute filter, or we can use a mercurial list filter. The list filter is literally a list of items. We could just right-click it in the open air, and I could say mercurial copper wire, for example. I could say deny list or allow list, so blacklist and whitelist, respect the data or ignore the data. And that basically means, will it care about things like enchantments and durability? You can also reset the filter to blank it out, and you can save the filter settings by ticking it. We're going to use a mercurial attribute filter for our brazier here. So we're going to use coal, and I'm going to put coal in here. So you put it in to add your reference item. And I must say, this is one of my favourite filters I've ever seen in modded Minecraft. I don't say that often. And you can see it says is furnace fuel. And I can just hover over this bar and I can just go down it. So is furnace fuel, can be smelted at a blast furnace, is tagged with, whatever that tag is. So this is the different tags. Or was added by Minecraft, which I think means vanilla. So we're just going to say is furnace fuel. So that filter is now only going to allow things through that are furnace fuel. So I could put wood planks in there and it will put that into the brazier as well. But it won't put, for example, stone stairs in. You could say allow if they have any of the selected attributes, allow if they have only all of the selected attributes, or deny them if they don't have any of the selected attributes. Because what you could also do is add opposite of this. So you could say, basically, if it isn't furnace fuel, allow it through or deny it through. And we could add that to the list. You can now see I've added it to the list, and we have selected attributes is furnace fuel. And I can actually keep going. I can actually add more attributes on here so that there could be 5 filters, for example, and it has to match either all of them or some of them or any of them, depending on what I have here. And I'm saying, yep, allow any. I save that filter settings, and then I right-click it onto my Mercurial item extractor. Now, because I am in creative, I do actually have, I use it and the item is still in my inventory. That attribute filter is now exactly the same. Obviously, if you had have used it in survival, you only had one, and therefore you wouldn't have any more. But if you do have a stack of them and you don't split them, then it will actually keep the filter in there for you. So I am now filtering this export to only have furnace fuels. So let's put some coal in here, and what we'll see is that the stack of coal has already got down to 49. It's taken it out, and it's inserted it into here for us. We could also add another wire onto here. As you can see, I could put more than one wire on, and that will allow me to insert into the Mercury distiller. So what you could do here is actually leave the filter off, and you can shift click it off here. You could leave the filter off of your item extractor, allowing anything to extract out, but put filters on the insert so that the right items go into the right places and nothing else. So I've still got my coal one here, which I'm going to place onto the insert on here. And then what I'm going to do is clear this one, and I'm going to get an item list filter and say diamonds only, and just literally say that's the allow list, save the filter, and I'm going to say only diamonds are allowed to go into here. I'm then going to put a extractor here and an inserter here for my mercury shards, and I'm going to link that up, and again go list filter, mercury shard, save, add it onto the extract. So now what we're doing is it's starting to look a little bit confusing, but we're saying you can extract whatever you like out of here, but actually we can only insert diamonds, we can only insert coal, or furnace fuels, and then out of here we're only going to extract the mercury into the chest. So as you can see here now, the coal will be going down, any diamonds I put in here will be going down into the machine, and mercury is coming out and not going anywhere. And there we go, we have a fully automated mercury distiller working. Now there is also the connection node here, which you could place. You could use this, I could wire this up to here, and then I could wire this up to here, and then I could put one on here and wire that one up to there. So if you want to go quite a long distance, you can use these mercurial connection nodes to do that. The last thing I want to show you is a mercurial wand. This is basically a wrench. As you can see here, we can actually change the sides. You can say, which side do you want it to go out of, etc. It shows you the directions here of your machines and things like that. But pretty simple. You don't really need it that much in this mod. I find I get along fine with just the inserters, etc. and the wires here. You can shift right click these connectors as well to see what it is connected to. And that is pretty much the logistics for Theurgy. One of the first things you are going to need throughout Theurgy is Sal Ammoniac. So we're going to look at making that now. Out in the world, you will find Sal Ammoniac ore and deep slate Sal Ammoniac ore, and it's pretty much in all dimensions, I do believe, unless your mod pack has, of course, changed where you get it. So the first thing we're going to need to make is a Sal Ammoniac tank, and you have this on the bottom, as you can see here. And then on top, we put a Sal Ammoniac accumulator, as you see here. So they go on top of each other like this, the tank on the bottom, the accumulator on top. Now we need to put two things in here, water and the Sal Ammoniac that we've actually mined up. So the crystals you get from mining, you're going to be putting that into the top bit here, the accumulator, and in the bottom we're going to be putting water. Now what you can do is get a, let's use a sink from Cooking for Blockheads, for example. You can use the imports and extractors for water. So we've got the mercurial fluid inserter and the mercurial fluid extractor here. So the extractor would go on the sink, the inserter would go on the tank. And then I'm just going to use some mercurial copper wire to attach those up. And as you can see, it is now full of water. So you can use these with other mods. Now, what I actually have done here is completely wrong. You need to put the inserter, on the top so that they're going in the same place together. There we go. So the water and the crystals actually go in this top bit, and then you have the Sal Ammoniac tank on the bottom. And there you go. You can see the tank is filling up with Sal Ammoniac. It only takes a few seconds. So the water and the crystals do both go in the top one, and then your output goes on the bottom one. And that is how you make Sal Ammoniac. Once you have your Sal Ammoniac, the first thing you actually want to do with it is put it into a liquefaction cauldron. And this is where we're going to make something called a alchemical sulfur. So if you don't know, the whole goal in Theurgy as a mod is to transmute items through kind of alchemy, I guess, into other items. And that is the whole purpose of it. We're basically, it's a transmutation mod. And it's quite cool how it does it, and it's fairly complex but simple at the same time. So as you can see here, we've got all these different things: alchemical sulfur, potato. And you can see that in the liquefaction processing, we can use some Sal Ammoniac and a potato to turn it into alchemical sulfur potato. So let's use potato in this example. We will need to heat the liquefaction cauldron. So I'm also going to take a pyromantic brazier. And we've already made our Sal Ammoniac. So I'm going to put my brazier, my liquefaction cauldron above it. And I'm going to put some coal in the brazier to heat it up. So we've got our heat going in. And then I'm actually going to get a, let's be lazy here, a mercurial item extractor and a mercurial item inserter. In fact, no, I actually want fluid for this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to extract from my Sal Ammoniac tank, the Sal Ammoniac. I'm going to say mercurial fluid extractor. I'm going to insert that into the liquefaction cauldron using the mercurial wires. So I'm just going to right-click and right-click to join them up. And as you can see, the Sal Ammoniac tank is now empty, but we've got loads of water and Sal Ammoniac crystals in our accumulator. And because I'm using a Cooking for Blockheads sink, it's just going to keep filling up with water. And obviously we've got loads of crystals in there. So we're going to make sure that we're keeping our Sal Ammoniac full, basically. And then we're also going to be keeping our liquefaction cauldron full. So all we now need to do, that we've added heat, the Sal Ammoniac, is add a potato to our liquefaction cauldron. I could then add a chest out here, get a mercurial item extractor, and you'd ideally want to filter this and you could put it into the chest, for example. But I can't be bothered because I've already shown you that. If you're watching in my ultimate guide or if it's in a standalone guide, then check out my other videos. But what you can see here now is that in the liquefaction cauldron, we are making alchemical sulfur potato. I can just right click and take out those potatoes. So that is how you make alchemical sulfur. And again, if we put in alchemical, what you can see is that there is a ton of different things. So you can see we've got asparagus here. I'm assuming that is from a different mod. You've got diamonds, beetroot, gold, and you can see what the tags are on this as well. It's rare because it's blue, and it comes under metals as well. Diamonds come under precious and gems, whereas rice comes under abundant and crops. So would dragon fruit come under abundant and crops. Apricot, abundant and crops. Easnium, whatever that is, precious and metals. Redstone is common and other minerals, as would be lapis. you start to see the relevant tags that Theurgy has given these alchemical sulfurs. You can see there's an absolute ton of different ones. Once you have your alchemical sulfur, the next thing we want to do after that is possibly going to be fermentation and digestion. So what this is actually going to do is you're going to be turning your alchemical sulfur into alchemical niter. So if you're wondering what is the difference, well, alchemical niter, as you can see, there's not that many of it. What we use the niter for is duplication, and that's going to be in the step that we do after the digestion process. So there's not one for like every item. We have abundant earthen materials or matters, and then common, and then abundant gems, which is the basic one, and then common gems, rare gems, precious gems, abundant metals, common, rare, precious metals, abundant other minerals, common, rare, precious, and some don't have anything. We have abundant logs, which is just the only one for logs, which is wood. We have abundant crops, which is the only one for crops, abundant animal parts, common animal parts, and rare animal parts, abundant mob drops, common mob drops, rare mob drops, and precious mob drops. So using the example that I used in the making alchemical sulfur part, we're going to be using the same alchemical potato sulfur for this. So because it is a crop and it's very common, it's going to turn into abundant crops alchemical niter. So you want to make a fermentation vat, and to make the fermentation vat you will require any kind of alchemical sulfur, and then you just pump it full of water, as you can see here. Then with the water you're going to put in your alchemical sulfur, which in this case is our potato. So now we have in the fermentation vat alchemical sulfur, potato, and water. However, we're going to need one more thing. If we look at potato in JEI and go to fermentation, you can see that we need some sort of something to ferment it with. Any kind of like sapling or leaf looks like it's going to be absolutely fine. One thing you can also use is fermentation starter. Now the fermentation starter you can make 20 of in the way that I'm literally showing you. So in the alchemical fermentation vat, and you would put sugar and any kind of raw material. You can use wood, you can use saplings, flowers, etc., and some Sal Ammoniac. So Sal Ammoniac, sugar, and any kind of raw material that's like plants and stuff will make you 20 fermentation starter. And you can use the fermentation starter instead of whatever material you'd usually use for your fermentation. But for this, I'm just going to use saplings for my potato. Put in some saplings. So I've put in the alchemical sulfur potato, the oak sapling, and the water. And you can see here there's a big hole in the top. Well, I'm going to shift right-click, and that is going to close the vat so that it ferments in there. Okay, so now it is fermenting. It won't let you close it if your recipe is incorrect, by the way. As you can see now, after a few seconds, we now have one alchemical niter of abundant crops. Now we have two. It takes like only a few seconds to make this. If I right-click it, it says I cannot I cannot take or put into the vat where it's closed. So I shift right-click again and open it. I right-click and it will automatically take out the resulting item, which is abundant crops. What we can then do is actually make this into a lesser or higher tier of niter in the digestion vat. Now, because, remember, with our niter abundant crops, so what I'm about to say is this was a bad example to show you. There's only one of it. You can't get common, rare, or precious crops. It's just abundant. So the digestion vat wouldn't make any sense to use for this version. However, let's imagine that we made maybe some abundant other minerals. And we want to turn our abundant other minerals into common other minerals, and then maybe into rare, and then maybe precious. Well, we can do that in the digestion vat. The first thing we're going to need, however, is purified gold. Purified gold is also made in the digestion vat. So all you actually put in there is some salt, some water, and some gold. What I will show you in a minute is how to get the salt, by the way, so don't worry just yet about this, but I just want to show you how this works first. So you put in some water, some salt, and some gold, and you get purified gold. In the digestion vat, again, you just shift right click it to close it, like you did with the fermentation vat. So I'm just going to skip that step and now show you how to make turning one item into another. So I'm going to put in a stack of purified gold. I'm going to put in my abundant other minerals, which is the common version, remember. And I'm going to need some Sal Ammoniac as well that we've made earlier. So I'm just going to right click the Sal Ammoniac in here, and I'm going to shift right click it, and you can see that the hole on top has closed when I shift right click it. And what's going to happen is the purified gold, the Sal Ammoniac, and 4 Alchemical Niter are going to turn into 1 common other minerals. So you can see I've used 1 gold, I've used 4 other minerals, and it's turned it into 1 common other minerals. So 4 of the base one will turn into 1 of the higher one. You can also put 1 of the higher quality in to get 4 of the lower quality if you wish. I haven't yet spoken about, don't worry, you haven't missed it, why we would be using Alchemical Niter. I'm going to be showing you that in the next step, which is this bit over here, after we go through salt. But this is how you use the digestion vats to make Alchemical Niter, and how to make higher and lower versions of it as well. So I can just shift right click this open, right click it, and now I've upgraded that into common other minerals. If I just right clicked to take everything out, I could then put in the common with the gold and the Alchemical Niter to actually upgrade it into a lower one, or I can, I can put in 4 Alchemical Niter. Doesn't seem to want me to put the gold in here, so maybe it doesn't want me to upgrade this one any further. But that's how you upgrade and degrade anyway. So one thing that you are going to need when you're digesting things, etc., and actually a bit later in the mod, is going to be your salt. So first up, pyromantic blazer, because to calcify the salt we will need heat. Again, I'm just going to get my coal to heat that up. There we go. And then on top we're going to make a calcination oven. So we just plop that calcination oven on there. Now if we look at salt in JEI, you will see there is actually a few. There is strata salt, minerals, plants, and creatures. Now, when we come to incubating, which is what you can see behind me on my screen here, it will matter which salt you have, but they're all incredibly easy to make, so I really wouldn't worry too much about that. So strata salt is the easiest to make. Basically, in the calcination machine, you just put some sort of rocks, terracotta, magma, purple, stones, dirt, I think, sand, obsidian, gravel, things like that, as you can see. And that will make, different amounts of them. Like blue ice will make you 64 alchemical salt strata. So that's actually the best one to make. For the mineral salt, it's going to be minerals. It does seem here we can only use certain ones. Oh no, I think it's just going through all of the raw ores. So any ores at all. Nether quartz might be the best one, I reckon, to do, because it makes 2 of them. Coal will make 2, whereas raw ore itself makes 3. You can use the strata salt and restrain it through the calcination, 5 of which will make 1 mineral salt. So they do work in kind of tiers. Plant salt becomes, you guessed it, from saplings and leaves, etc. And then creatures salt, interestingly enough, maybe they will update this in the future, but at the moment, at the time of filming, in Minecraft 1.21, you put plant salt in to get creatures salt in calcination. So all we do is get, let's say, saplings, and just right-click it into the calcination oven, and as you can see, it starts doing its thing, and alchemical salt plants has been made. And that is as easy as it gets for making the salt part of everything we need. Now that we've gotten to this point, we've made our salt and we've been digesting and fermenting things, we can actually start turning all of these sulfurs and niters into more things, which is actually pretty much where the mod culminates and gets fun. One thing I must mention, we do need power at this point. A Mercury catalyst here is how you make your power in the mod. It will need a Mercury crystal, which is just 4 Mercury shards put together to make the catalyst, and then you just shove mercury into it, and as you can see, it makes power. Oh my god, I couldn't pause that before that sneeze come out. I'm so sorry. And then on top of that, you want to put a sulfuric flux emitter, which is basically how we, which is what needs power. This is the item that needs power. We have 3 items in front of us: a Reformation source pedestal, a Reformation target pedestal, and a Reformation result pedestal. So what we're doing is we're putting the sulfur that we are using in the first one. In the second one is the sulfur we want to turn it into. And the third one is where we will get our result. Let's just have a look at this in here. So we've made some alchemical sulfur wheat, and in Reformation, let's see what we could do here. It shows you in JEI how much mercury flux is needed, which is basically irrelevant. You just shove some mercury crystals into the catalyst I showed you, and that's the end of it. And you can see here that we're putting in, we can put in lemon into the Reformation target one with the source as our wheat, and you will get lemon. So let's try that now. Our source pedestal is our 2 wheat, and we want to make lemon. Now we will actually need some lemon in order to do this. We've got 2 wheat in here. I've put my 1 lemon in here, and as you can see, it's bouncing around and it's all doing its thing. Now remember, I put 2 wheat in here. There's now 1 wheat in here. The lemon, which is the target one, is still here. And then we have the new lemon one. So we have turned alchemical sulfur wheat into alchemical sulfur lemon. So using our sulfuric flux emitter, what you're going to do is simply shift right click the Reformation source, target, and result pedestal. That's how you link all 3 of these together. And then just place it down on top of your catalyst so that it's got power. So as you can see here, we've now got 2 alchemical sulfur lemon. I can just take that out. We've got no more wheat left. I've turned the 2 wheat into lemon sulfur. If, however, we were to use niter rather than sulfur, this is actually going to mean we can make more of it. So if I put in my niter, common other materials, in the source pedestal, and let's say I wanted to make maybe this one here, glowstone. So let's take some glowstone. I want to make some glowstone sulfur. Oh, I take my lemon out first. I put in the glowstone, and as you can see, it's whizzing around and doing its thing. And now we have 1 alchemical sulfur glowstone, and the common material is gone. We have the glowstone target one, and we have the new glowstone. So the difference between this is that we can make more stuff if we're using niter. We could make common animal parts niter, common metals niter, redstone. You could make 4 common earthen materials with 1 common other materials, for example. So that's a great way of getting more of that. Whereas you'd need 4 common other minerals to make 1 common gem, and vice versa. So the thing is with niter is you can make more stuff with it, basically. So let's imagine in this example that we are going to use 4 common other materials to make a common gem. So I'm going to put my 4 common other materials in here, and I'm going to get my gem one, because maybe I'm making tons and tons of common other materials and I want to transmute it all into gems. So I can put my common gem one in there. That's the target. And we should start to see this working. Oh, I need to take out the destination one. I think I've done that right. 4 common materials makes 1 gem. Should do. Ah, there we go. I've just realized what I've done wrong. So when it shows multiple, you actually need multiple source pedestals for it to work. So in order to get 1 alchemical niter common gems, you would actually, so let me just show you the recipe again, my apologies. So you can see here in Reformation, it needs 4 common other materials, but you need to put them in 4 separate pedestals, and then it will work. In order to link them, again, simply, all you do is just shift right-click, 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 right-click to link all of them, and then shift right-click, right-click, and it will link all 4 of them together like that. Absolutely fine for you. One thing that is really, really interesting is you'll notice on the recipe, it says here, the target sulfur will not be consumed. You can retrieve it after crafting is complete. But don't be fooled, that is only the target one, so the one that you're trying to make, not the actual base ingredients that you're trying to make. These will be consumed here. And this is how you use reformation. The last step is then to turn what we've now got, our Alchemical Niter common gems, into an actual physical item in the game that we can use. And this is the whole purpose of the mod. This here then is the incubator. This is the final piece of the pie, if you will, to alchemizing and transmuting items with Theurgy. So I'm going to place down the incubator. We then need 3 things around it: a sulfur vessel, a mercury vessel, and a salt vessel. So I'm going to put my mercury and salt on one side and sulfur on the other. You do need all 3. You will also need, under your incubator, a pyromantic blazer underneath, because the incubator will need heating. There we go. Now, in the salt vessel, you will need to put different salts in. So we are using common gems here. And again, the reason we're using niter is so that we can turn it into more things. So if we look through here, let's say with the common gems one, we want to make Certus quartz. So we'd throw it through the reformation chamber and get, you know, Certus quartz or something. Because Certus quartz is a mineral, and you're thinking, what salt would we want? That is going to be a mineral salt that we would need. So in here, you would put mineral salt into the salt vessel. If you're making a plant, obviously you would use plants, etc. In the mercury vessel, you simply put your mercury shards. And then in the sulfur vessel, you would put your sulfur. So in this case, it would be using our Alchemical Niter common gems with a target of Certus quartz to make more Certus quartz sulfur. And then what we do is we come over to the incubator here and we put our Certus quartz sulfur that we've duplicated into the sulfur vessel here. And as you can see, smoke is now coming out of the incubator, and what you get out of it is actual Certus quartz. And there we go. You've successfully transmuted one item into another. It may seem long-winded, but that's because I'm doing it in a tutorial. When you actually think about it, all you're really doing is making some of this stuff, Sal Ammoniac, and then just repurposing stuff through reformation, etc. On the side, you're making some salt, and then you're just shoving it all into an incubator. And you can set this up in a process line using the importers and exporters to make a pretty nice transmutation, like automation, conveyor belt sort of factory, if you will. And that's as simple as it gets for using the incubator in Theurgy. There are a few other pieces in Theurgy that I haven't shown you. One is the divination rod. This is used to find nearby items. There's a glass one and an iron one, etc. Let's use the diamond one. Basically, what you could do with this, I don't really see much use for it myself, personally, unless you're looking for something really specific. I can put iron ore down, I shift right click it and attune it to iron ore, and then when I hold it down and right click, it will, as you can see, it will actually guide me to the nearest iron ore. So if you're looking for something really specific, the divination rod can be very useful, but, you know, in certain use cases. And the only other last thing I wanted to show you is the crystallized water, which it says here, water in solid form for easy transportation and alchemical processing. You just use water with some salt, and the same with crystallized lava you can make as well. And that's it, guys. You have now learned Theurgy as a mod. I really hope this was useful for you. Do comment down below if there's anything else you aren't sure on, etc. Of course. If you are new here, make sure to check out my channel. As you can see, I cover a lot of different Minecraft mods. I have a tech mod shelf and a magic mod shelf as well. And there are some mods that are actually standalone that don't have their playlists, like Building gadgets, if I put in that into the search bar on my channel, you can see the building gadgets full tutorial. So there's a lot of standalone mods that are just one video long because they're quite small mods. So if you are looking for a specific mod, always use that search. I do check the comments on this channel. I do manage multiple channels, by the way. You may or may not be aware. I have had a few people comment saying, oh my God, it's you. So do comment down below. I do read them all. If you're ever looking for a mod that has not been covered, whether it's Forge, Fabric, NeoForge, etc., I'm always looking for new and interesting mods to learn and cover off for you guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you found it useful, and of course check out all of the other mods that I do.